Assalamualaikum and very good morning to my lecturer, Dr. Samsudin, and to all my fellow friends. For our topic assignment today, we will discuss about responsibility of employee and the trade union as stipulated in the section 7 of IRA 1967. First and foremost, my name is Muhammad Hafiz Iqmal bin Muhammad Halmi. I will explain briefly about the introduction before we go further for other part. Generally, trade union are worker-led, membership-based organisation that represent of bargaining on behalf of their members. Union offer assistance to member who are having trouble at work, represent member in meeting with employer and negotiate with employer to improve salary and working condition. It also ensure that their member legal rights are upheld, supply and broken education and learning opportunity of their members. As we all know, responsibility are heavily influenced by the contact which is employee. Nonetheless, accountability may be defined broadly as a person international choice and action that seek to develop oneself and benefit others. For easier, responsibility is something you required to do an outstanding member of a community. For example, if you are in a band, it's your responsibility to learn the song and show up to practice on time. Following that, industrial relation may be defined as an act that promote and maintain industrial harmony while also provide regulation between employee and employer. Aside from that, Section 7 of Industrial Relation Act of 1967 are allocated to provide worker and the trade union from violating specific act. Furthermore, it provides employer and worker with a number of rights while also imposing a number of obligations of them. For the part which is 2.0, Section 7 of Industrial Relation Act 1967, which is Nasrisman part, I will pass to him. Thank you.
Oh, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Muhammad Hafiz, for our discussion and also for our introduction of the presentation. It was a good one. Okay, so for my part, it's about Section 7 of Industrial Relation Act 1967. For this section, I emphasize on A, B, and C. For the A, except with consent of the employee, persuade at the employer's places of business during working hour, a workman to join or refrain from joining. D7A. This is one that is stated on 7A. It emphasizes that all employees have a certain right in respect of their union membership, which you couldn't even encourage them to do or to join without their willingness or without their own consent. Other than that, it emphasizes without any permission of the employer, employees cannot convince others. If the employees and employees want to convince themselves, they need a permission from the above. Yeah, that is employer. Right. Other than that, this is not to disturb. This section 7A emphasizes things as to not disturb the daily duties as a worker, which means if you want to approach a person, you can approach it, you do, but you can approach on the appropriate time, such as in lunch, at dinner, or maybe under a rest time. Yeah, but you couldn't disturb or disrupt in daily duties as a worker. So trade union actually have a new mandate and also have a new concept, which is all employees have the same voice. This is stated in the Ethical Trading Initiative 2010 Act. Employees usually elect someone to speak on their behalf. That is true and it is proven. It's important to follow instruction for harmonious relation without dispute. Yeah, to have a harmonious relationship in this act. It emphasizes for not making any disruption. Making any dispute between the co-workers and other than that. Yeah. Alright. So for section 2.27, section 7 2.2 B, intimidate any person to become or refuse to be or continue to be a member. This section emphasizes about to not be threatened as a member. Okay, we did not threaten by any physical or mentally abuse or any coercion method. We did not do that, because to enter or to join a trade union or any membership, it needs to be by willingness. Yeah, based on the liberty, fundamental liberty, that is section 5, if I'm not mistaken, right of a person to be a person and to do what a person need to do, right? Other than that, Section 7B emphasizes to avoid any bias and control of the abuse of power. Fun fact and clear example: if I favor someone and then I take them as my membership or my member under me, wouldn't it elevate my probability of making and also to have a majority vote? No, we doesn't emphasize that, because in trade union we need to find a soft plan. So when some bias happen, so it can influence the quality of our own vote and our own suggestion, and so our own discussion. It's bad for the management. Other than that, threaten to stop being a member, harassing, obstructing, and forcing workers to exercise their right. Like I mentioned before, we did not do any abuse of power and abuse for physical and mentally abuse for the people. Thank you. Okay, so for 2.3, we did not 2.3 section 7c, we did not induce any person to refrain from becoming or cease to be a member or officer of a trade union by conferring or offering to confer on any person, or by providing or procuring or offering to procure any advantage. Alright, which mean in this section 7c, it mean and emphasize to not induce, prevent, or halting any person by offering various offer to them, such as when you discuss, you couldn't increase your benefit to people, and also you couldn't and could not do people for your own benefit. There are a group of government that are not allowed to join, such as military personnel, police officer, and also there are some that are not qualified to join, such as a person who are under 16 years old. Other than that, right? And also for the section 7c, it emphasizes and also essential, so for me to highlight this one, it is illegal to entice another person to join or to confer for benefit, which is WordPress 2010 state. That is, if you are in charge of a certain rules, you need to do that. You cannot entice other people, and you cannot entice other people to join your group. The employer should seek advice if any of this happen, such as to be helped, to be induced for their own benefit. So the person should seek legal advice if it happens. Alright, that's all from me. Thank you.
Alright, hi, Assalamualaikum, and a very good morning to our lovely lecturer Dr. Sir Samsudin, and to all my fellow friends as well. For my part, I will explain about the benefits of Section 7 of Industrial Relation Act 1967. But before that, I want to thank to Nourishman for the explanation about 2.0, which is Section 7 of Industrial Relation Act 1967, which is elaborate about the Section C, 7C, and all of that. So as my part, I will explain more about benefits. So the first benefit is to maintain the excellent relationship between employer and employees. As we can see, the first advantage is that it maintains a great employer and employee connection. This is due to the fact that according to the guidelines, employees should not do anything outside of their job scope without first alerting their employer. And as far as I'm concerned, this highlights how workers should respect their bosses by keeping them informed of their thoughts and activity. So a second one is to promote and acknowledge rights and responsibility. As you can see here, this is due to the regulations' comprehensive explanation of employees and trade union rights and obligations, which enables employees and trade unions to carry out their duties while respecting each other's responsibility. For example, the regulations specifies what is prohibited and what is permitted. So on top of that, this provides employees with the information they need to their tasks. As a consequence, any confrontations between the organization and trade union may be avoided. So last but not least, improve morale of employees. This is the most important point, so make sure you listen carefully. Last but not least, the advantage is to boost employee morale. This is due to the fact that the workers will follow all the acts presented in order to fulfill their duties. So as a result, they become more disciplined while working in their organization. So let me tell you another step. For example, they will follow the rules. Aside from that, employees will have a strong relationship with trade union members, since they support one another while making decisions. On top of that, people in trade unions will push their members to defend their rights inside the organization. Indirectly, it may result in the formation of a tiny supporting family, which may contribute to increased productivity. So, I think I've done for my part. I will pass to the Muhammad Ushai for explanation about the section, which is the analysis of cases in our topic assignment for today. For that, I'll thank you very much and hope to see you again. Bye bye. Take it, Ushai.
Right, thank you Iqbal for the explanation on the benefits. Next, on my part, I will explain about the analysis of responsibilities of employee and their trade unions. As everyone knows, it is critical for the employee to be accountable in their trade unions. This is due to the fact that this section clearly prohibits employees from persuading workers to join or not to join trade union without the consent of the employers during working hours in the section 7A. Intimidating a person to become or not become in section 7B, inducing a person to stop being a member of a trade union in section 7C. In the case of Bumiputra Commerce Bank Berhad Executive Staff Union versus Bumiputra Commerce Bank Berhad, the Executive Staff Union can sue Bumiputra Commerce Bank Berhad for violating the Industrial Relations Acts of 1967. This occurred when the corporation discriminated against the employee in the terms of advancement based on whether or not he was a member of a union. The rule of law in this scenario is when the corporation gives the employees continuous employment as a union member. The next case is a case of National Union Employees of Bank Peninsula Malaysia versus Malayan Banking Berhad. This situation has arisen when the employer or a company behavior is discriminatory towards union member who participate in trade union activities. The defendant objective is to discontinue being trade union members since the corporation wants to fire a few employees owing to the financial crisis. It is critical for the employee to be more professional and intelligent in managing employees in trade union. That's all of me. The next part will be a conclusion by Amin Muaz.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I present a bit to you, Sir Samsudin. My name is Amin Muaz bin Badrul Hisham, KAM 11058, and I am here to present to you the conclusion of this video presentation. Now, in conclusion, within Section 7 of the Industrial Relations Act of 1967, it states that the employer and/or someone representing a trade union be disallowed to intimidate, coerce, force, blackmail, or by any other means make a worker enter or exit a union unless by tacit voluntary will of the workman. Trade unions should also observe that unless they have the tacit consent of the employer, they cannot canvass or persuade other workmen to join their union within working hours. In my personal opinion, these laws are sufficient, though limited. It's a bit lacking as new tactics in the field of union busting has appeared, capable of circumventing these specific laws. Precedent regarding things such as anti-union poster propaganda, employee surveillance to disrupt union activities, and appealing to counties to increase green light time so the workers can leave early and unionists can no longer canvass potential union members are important to set the tone of what is allowed and what isn't in the future. These laws work, but they are very limited in scope. They need to be able to keep up with the times, or at the very least, be future-proof. Now, I would like to extend a thank you to you, Sir Samsudin, on behalf of our team and I, for watching this presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.